Hey YouTube, welcome back. Today we are covering the deck that I brought for the Bushiroad Spring Fest season for Premium, which is Nightmare Doll. I didn't get to cover this deck in any depth in the previous seasons because I hadn't started this channel yet. So I think it's a good time to kind of go through the deck that I brought for this season, my choices, as well as maybe some of my matchups that I did throughout the season. Big shout outs to Toby and Simon, as well as David Adipratama and Kelvin Galini for teaming up with me in Sydney and Indonesia respectively. Absolutely busted teammates. I wouldn't ask to team with anyone else. Absolutely great. Also big shout out to Kelvin, Mark and Kai for taking me around, taking care of me in Sydney, driving me to the ER on the Thursday night, Friday morning to get me prepared for Springfest, and then obviously to everybody else who contributed to this deck, mainly Kevin Cho from the BRO season, and yeah, just all the people who have tested with me throughout the season. If you guys still need any coaching of any sort to improve your game at Cardfight Vanguard, feel free to check me out on Metafy. My link is in the bottom right hand corner. It is https metafy.gg/@Derek-Dow. Book your session, and if you have any concerns on how to book a session, feel free to reach out to me through a private message on the platform and I'll be able to help you. So this deck is slightly different from my BRO list. My BRO list ran a few different things, but I guess I'll just go through the deck and then just kind of pick out essentially what I changed and whatnot. So first off, we're starting with the grade 3s. So the grade 3s that I ran were 4 Carol, 4 Alice, and 3 Chelsea. So this changed from BRO. BRO, I was running 1 Chimera, but I found that this season, a lot of people have kind of caught on to Nightmare Doll, and I needed a way to ensure that I could contest the grade 2 game well. And the best way was to have Chelsea, because essentially when I have a Carol to ride up, and then I have a Chelsea, that's 1 counterblast to use Carol's skill to ride down. So I prioritized the grade 2 game much more than I did with the utility that Chimera give. Not to say that Chimera is not a good card, I just found that running 3 Chelsea just made it a lot easier for me to do the ride down play, as well as she's searchable off Marissa. So if I ever need like a grade 3 to ultimate stride that isn't Carol or not Alice, I can rely on Chelsea. Other than that, it's a pretty staple lineup. 4 Carol, your main grade 3, 4 Alice for your aggression, your push with Ginny and Leslie, and then yeah, like I said, 3 Chelsea for the ride down play, and just really to get rid of any pesky rear guards. This actually is more important for another tech card that I run later on, but I'll explain that once I get there. So outside of those grade 3s, the grade 2s that I ran were 4 Marissa, 4 Ginny, and 2 Erin. Now, a lot of people have decided to cut Ellen from 2 of this to 2 of the 10k bodies. I didn't find in my testing that the 10k body really mattered too much. A lot of the grade 2 gaming decks, so to say, I focus on were like Thavas and Eradicators. I found that those 2 obviously are Excel, so the 9k really matters. But the most important thing is that if they don't give you damage, then you can't aggro them back. So as long as I'm on a 9k, they can't just damage deny me while I'm on a 9k body, whereas they can when I'm on a 10. So I feel that playing aggressively with this deck is much better than playing defensively, because this deck, as much as I want to give it credit with Rolocks and stuff, I just find that it's not as defensive as I want it to be. So I capitalize better on playing the 9k body, letting my opponent give me the damage that I want, and then use like Leslie with Ginny and Alice with Ginny and then Leslie to kind of push for game. I also found that against Excel decks, the 19 actually matters. So you can put like an Abigail behind like your grade 2 and then use this, and it can't be stopped by a Heal Guardian because it hits for 19. So sometimes putting this in the front, and then behind is like a Leslie because you put it on the side columns. This card will then be replaced by Alice later on in the game. So I find that pushing for 16 and then 26 against any deck is like really, really good. So I prefer to play more aggressively with this deck, which is why I kept them in instead of replacing with the 10k body. But yeah, other than that, everything else is like pretty self-explanatory. Ginny to combo with Alice and Leslie, and then Marissa to tutor out all your non-grade 2 workeroids. So yeah, that's the grade 2s. And then for the grade 1s, I kept them the same. I didn't change this lineup at all. So I played 4 Rolox, 4 Leslie, 4 Abigail. I didn't decide to cut Rolox. Rolox is just so good. It essentially gives your deck 8 PGs because this deck can ride down even after striding. So even after striding, you can still ride down to your grade 2, use your Rolox as your PG, and then if your hand is like full of like PGs, it's essentially a 1-card guard instead of a 2-card guard normally for a perfect guard. Yeah, Rolox just serves so many good purposes. Allows you to play the mirror really well. Your opponent just can't attack the Vanguard and then just get away with it. You can just drop this and then PG the Vanguard. I also found that if your opponent hits an OT, a Dark States OT, this matters way more in the mirror. So I just found that because Rolock is just such an important card, especially against the mirror, especially if they hit a Dark States OT, it just makes this deck cope a lot better than if I like replace it with like Masquerade Bunny or whatever. So yeah, I kept the grade 1s the same. Leslie is like the package for the loot, and then Abigail is like your resource engine, allows you to tutor any of your 3s that you put into soul. And if you ever soul charge your heals, you can like tutor them out as well. But yeah, it's pretty stock standard. And then the triggers, I just ran 4 heal, 4 draw, 7 crit, and then 1 Dark States OT, which is somewhere, Dark States OT. Nothing changes here. There were some lists that ran 1 more of the Intersoul crit instead of the Stride Fodder crit, but sometimes I like want to keep my grade 3s so that I can push with them. So which is why I ran 4 of the Stride crits instead. Just even having a 12k body on an Excel can still hit force. Or even a 12k on the rear guard without the XL can hit a rear guard. So I just value having attacking units than having power or having filter in my hand. I chose also to use the Dark States OT because I valued playing the mirror more than I did against like any other deck where the Cray Elemental Overtrigger would have been much more beneficial. So I prioritized playing the mirror more. And funnily enough, I actually ran into 2 or 3 mirrors across the season. So yeah, this really did put in the works somewhat, but I never checked it. So never checked it in the mirror, but it was just always there. And then the times where I did check this, it was pretty impactful. It scaled really good into the late game. And yeah, just made the deck play a lot better than what it would be with the Cray Elemental Overtrigger. And yeah, that's the main deck, so I'm just going to pack that up real quick. And then going into the Stride Zone, I did make a slight change to, I think, 1 or 2 of the cards that I ran for the G Zone. So, the G Zone, I ran 4 Harry. 4 Harry is just really good. Nothing more to say, to be honest. Solves your Link Joker matchup, if there is any Link Joker. Other than that, it's like a multi-attack, grade 4, I guess. And then it's just really flip fodder, if anything. Yeah, for like your Dark Lord Princess. Dark Lord Princess is your main stride. I run 3. I find myself striding more into this, especially if you're playing against like a tanky deck or something like a Grand Blue, or something that allows like stalls out the game a little bit longer. Water Colony is another one. The third Dark Lord actually makes a huge difference. I run one Yvette. So this, I used to run at 2, but then I substituted it for Formido. Formido allows me to bomb Honolys, and then sometimes if I'm versing Grand Blue, I just wipe their board, and then they won't be able to use any of like their recursion G-Guard plays, where they can sack a unit, bring back Beatrice, bring back Greed Shade to filter out anything. This actually came up in the top 8 game for Sydney, where I bombed my opponent's field and they couldn't do anything. A board wipe is just really, really good against Grand Blue, so which is why I decided to play this. In my BRO, I played the Beatrice and I still kept it. So that's the reason why I run Chelsea at 3. So running Chelsea at 3 allows you to play into Beatrix turn. I found myself actually striding into this like twice or 3 times, where I bait out a G-Guard from my opponent using Beatrix, but then sometimes like during the game I would have checked the Dark States over trigger, and then I would just re-ride Carol into Carol into Carol into Carol again, and then just bash the Vanguard, even though the Honolly was on the board, because Honolly doesn't stop Vanguard attacks. So which is why like I can attack 4 times with my rearguards first, this as the 5th, and then I unstride this, like put 2 into soul, call 2 out, and then re-ride using Carol's skill, and then just keep bashing again. And then my rearguards, the ones that go into soul, like this, can attack rearguard and then punish their board, and then still put on aggression using the Vanguard. So yeah, which is why I kept it. I was running 2 Yvette. The second Yvette would have been for like any situation where like I would call out a Leslie and then put like all 3 triggers on it. But I was more concerned about matchups where they could burn or retire the Leslie and then Honolly. So I wanted multiple outs to Honolly, which is why I played Beatrix and the Formido. And then obviously the third card to bypass Honolly would be Dust. Dust is your ultimate win con. Like, if you have multiple Leslies with this, and your opponent's like even at 3, it's pretty deadly. If your opponent doesn't check a damage trigger, if your opponent doesn't check 2 damage triggers and you have like multiple Leslies, like it's pretty much GG. Like they can't get through a Dust if they don't check 2 damage triggers. The only time I think my opponents checked 2 damage triggers was once in Indonesia. They 6 damage heal, 7 damage OT, and then also in my top 4 game against Highlander, he hit, I think it was like crit, heal, crit, but the heal was like a 5k. 1 damage trigger doesn't stop Dust. 1 damage trigger does not stop Dust because the Leslie on the Excel hits for 12, so it still hits for 1 card out of hand. So as long as you have CB, each loop of Alice would take out 3 cards. So on average, it'd be like 2 Leslies and then the Alice loop. So 1 CB is 3 cards. So essentially, if you have like 5 damage, then you nuke out like 9 cards just from 3 rearguards, and then not even counting the others as well. So this pretty much melts any of your opponent's hands, depending on like. Actually, it doesn't even matter how big their hand is. Pretty much, if you stride this while your opponent's on 5, it's over. It's just an incredible card, best win con in the deck. And then for G-Guards, I run 1 Kuthard, it's just big shield. Furnival came up quite a bit, allows me to like soul charge like Workeroid grade 3s where I can tutor them with Abigail. And then sometimes if I want to deck thin, I just deck thin my 2s and then deck thin my 3s and 1s with Marissa. So that's really good. 2 Wandering Dragon. If I ever soul charge my PGs, if I put my PGs using Yvette, then I can PG out using this. There were times where I used this and then just shoot it out like a 15k for no break. Just an amazing G-Guard. And then Dismal protects Alice, protects Leslie. protects anything that you need on the board. And yeah, that's pretty much my main deck in G-Zone for this Night Metal deck. Now, I guess going into like some of the matchups that I went into, I'll just recap with Sydney. So Sydney, I played a DP first round, and then I played, I played Grand Blue the second round, and then the third round I played, so I played DP, and then I played Beatrice, and then I played a Nightmare Doll. So the Nightmare Doll, he was at 1 or 2 damage, and then I had 5 open Counterblast, and then pretty much looped him, and he didn't hit a single damage trigger. So yeah, that was like kind of unfortunate for him, but that's, you know, how the deck goes. So that was that. Fourth, I was playing against a Mega Loma, Great Nature. Pretty spicy deck where you can like use the damage exploders and then our Mirage to like end your opponent's turn. So it like kind of stopped the aggro for Nightmare Doll, but it didn't matter because I kind of anticipated the deck. I tested the deck during BRO season, so I kind of knew how like the deck operated. So that was pretty good. And then I versed my friend Andrew from Melbourne who played Aquaforce. He put a title on an Excel. He G-guarded the previous turn into a Lambros, so he had GB3, and then he hit heal, draw, and OT all onto the title, and like I literally cannot guard that. So yeah, that was kind of unfortunate. The last round I lost to Battle Sister Kaliko because I misplayed. I forgot about having Robots in hand, and he G-guarded into an Ishikishima, and then like Kaliko'd into like all 4 Amaterasus, and then I took 6 damage because it hit a crit. So yeah, that was a misplay on my part. I actually should have won that, so my battle record would have been 7-2. But yeah, that's a misplay that I learned not to be too greedy. And yeah, and then top 8 I played Beatrice, which is where the Formido came up, wiped his board, and then pretty much he had nothing left. No hand, top deck, couldn't find a stride fodder, and that was pretty much the game. Highlander BT was the top 4 game where he hit 3 damage triggers on my Dust, and yeah, I couldn't do much about that. And in the finals, I played against my friend from Melbourne, Justin Mao, who played Nightmare Doll and the Mirror. The Mirror is like pretty sophisticated, very skill-based on how to approach it. I sat on grade 2 for a while, and then tried to farm my Heal Guardians, and then I held 2 Heal Guardians, which would stop an Alice Leslie loop completely. And then pretty much once it got to his turn, I think I checked 2 triggers, put it on the Leslie, and then pretty much looped him out of the game. So yeah, like that was pretty much my Sydney run. So my Jakarta run, I played first was Beatrice. If I remember correctly, I just played like a normal game, went into Dust at 5 damage, and then just Alice Leslie looped him. Second was the Regalia that I played in finals. Not too sure what really happened. It was just like kind of a normal game. Third round was Victor, and I dead drew into everything. Pretty much no triggers defensively or offensively, just pretty much drew all my 5k pieces, got rushed down and just couldn't do much. The next round was Eradicators, which he hit 6 damage heal, 7 damage OT. And then 8th round was Shiryuki. Pretty much one-lined him the whole game until I got to grade 3 and I played XL1. And then, yeah, pretty much he tried to damage Nanami the whole game because how Shiryuki would win would be to get the second stride and then Shiryuki out of the game. But that didn't happen. Top 8 was the same story. I also versed the same Shiryuki, did the exact same thing. Top 4 was the Victor that I also played in 3rd round, and then this time I didn't dead draw and I aggroed him early, and yeah, that was pretty much it. And then finals was against Regalia. He pretty much drive checked the nuts. He hit like I think five crits in 7 checks. on Minerva GB3, which was absolutely crazy, but my teammates got the win there, and yeah, we got the gold at Jakarta. So yeah, that's pretty much it for this deck profile. I hope you guys found it interesting. I think I forgot a card. I played the V starter. V starter is just yeah, really good. You can ditch the quick shield with Marissa or anything that you really need, to be honest, which is why I play this. But otherwise, yeah, that's pretty much it. Again, if you guys need any coaching, feel free to hit me up on Metafy, metafy.gg/Derek-Dow, and then I'll be able to help you improve your game at Vanguard. I will be releasing a Kari deck profile, which I used in Sydney for standard. I went 8-1, and funnily enough, this Night Metal deck I didn't go as well as I wanted it to go. I think I went 5-3 in Indonesia, and then I went 6-3 in Sydney. Some with crucial misplays and then some with really unluckiness. But otherwise, I love this deck. It's actually really amazing. So yeah, that's pretty much it. If you like this video, please comment down below what you guys think about this. I know that the ban list is coming up, so this deck may change drastically, but we'll see come the ban list. And then yeah, subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace.